Hey guys, it's Bree. I had an awesome week, and part of the reason that my week was awesome was that I got to do a buddy reads with Otavio over at the Galilean Library. We read The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert A. Heinlein, and this is a book that I've been meaning to pick up for a very long time. It is all about a society that lives on the moon, and essentially they have an import-export imbalance. They are owned as kind of a property of the Terran government or the Earth government. And they are expected to produce wheat, produce goods, and send them all down to Earth with very little in return. It's a former penal colony, which is really interesting. Partly because so many people are born there, and partly because when you're sent there, after a couple of months, the physiological changes make it so that you can't go back to Earth without essentially just dying. So all of these kids who were born on the moon and who have grown up are never going to be able to really go down to Earth. So it's really this very visceral slave class that they've created. The main guy, his name is Manuel, or Man, and he is a computer programmer of a sorts for this computer that he calls Mike. And Mike, unbeknownst to everybody else in the lunar colony, is actually a conscious supercomputer. So Man is the only one who really knows about this supercomputer, and he's never really been interested in politics. He kind of just goes to work, does his job, and continues on with his life until, in kind of this friendship that he's formed with the supercomputer Mike, he's going and kind of listening in on these meetings that Mike can't access, and he gets caught up in this brewing revolution, which will involve, embargoes and actual battles and all sorts of cool stuff. It's really an interesting book, and I'll admit, the politics of it is really kind of complex and pretty well thought out. There are a whole bunch of negotiations and things that happen, and I thought that they were all really interesting and that they were pretty true to life. One of the things that I liked about the book was the way that Man was presented, and that he wasn't really some brilliant guy. He wasn't really super heroic. He was mostly just this guy that things were happening to. And I thought that that was a really interesting spot, because in a lot of times with dystopians, it's, somebody who steps up to the plate and he becomes the hero of the day. And with Man, it didn't feel like that. It kind of just felt like he was somebody who did what he had to do, and even then, that wasn't terribly extraordinary. I had a couple of issues. First and foremost is that there are a lot of areas where it's kind of like Heinlein preaching to would-be libertarians. I live with a number of libertarians, so maybe it's just that I've heard a lot of this stuff before. But it was a little bit of he was occasionally using characters as figureheads to present speeches for him. And that's something that I don't find to be very interesting, and I don't find it to be a natural way that people talk. But it wasn't overwhelming. It was mostly something that happened in the first third of the book. And I think Heinlein really just wanted to lay out his approach to politics and anarcho-libertarianism. Mike is really kind of an interesting idea as well. He's a supercomputer with just tremendous capacity, and throughout the book he approaches more and more human and kind of omnipresent, powerful computing. He is able to listen into all of the conversations that people have near phone lines. He has information that he really shouldn't have. He starts being able to create personas and imitate other people, and I thought that this was really menacing. But I didn't really feel like that storyline was followed through. I think he set it up really well for something to be really troubling about Mike as an AI, and then just kind of let it lie. It isn't necessarily the fastest paced book in the world. There is a lot that's going on, and at the end there are some really cool battle scenes, but for the most part the book is pretty slow. I think if you like something that's a little bit more cerebral, you're really going to like this. I really liked it. I think overall I would give it a 4, a 3.5. There were some areas where I would have liked to see it being improved, but overall, I mean, it's a classic, and it hits a lot of those kind of interesting points for me. Let me know what you thought of The Moon is a Harsh Mistress if you've read it. I'd really be interested to hear more about your perspectives. I'm going to list a couple of books in the down bar below that I think that if you like this and you're interested in the politics of it, you're really going to like. Anyways, I will link down below Otavio's channel. He is absolutely fantastic. If you haven't checked him out yet, you definitely should. And I will talk to you later. I hope you're having a fantastic reading week. Bye.